Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Myanmar goal.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Welcome back to the Vic Akers Wonderland Podcast. I am your host, Lottie, and as always, I am joined by my two co-conspirators, Adam and Matt. But wait, we've got two very special guests all the way from the whole 15 yards podcast, Lyndsey and Freya. Freya, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thank you very much for having us. Can't wait to get started.
Brilliant. And also, Lyndsey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm looking forward to the roasting that you guys are going to give us. So
I'm going to try and be nice, I promise. And also, Adam, how are you?
Okay, in a much better mindset than I was this time last week, which I'm grateful for. A lot calmer, a lot happier with the result, although it was touch and go for about 80 minutes.
I think I was the only one at this who wasn't at this game on this podcast tonight. Matt, how are you?
Not too bad, just a bit annoyed that I've had to, as people might have not understood, that on our Twitter, I was the one that ended up dancing around the station because of that second goal and the third one as well. But that a bit annoyed that I had to miss 2 goals tonight. But that's the second time now that I've missed an Arsenal game. They've gone on to win 3-1.
That's got to be a lucky charm, surely.
You need to leave games more earlier, more often than Matt, clearly.
Oh, please don't.
We don't want to. We don't score. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be good. Absolutely. So I'm going to start off with a little icebreaker. After what happened with that last goal at the game, my main question to all of you is: what has been the most injustice, excluding this weekend, that has benefited your own team, i.e. a handball or an offside? I'm going to go to Matt first.
I'm still thinking about this. The only thing I can think of the biggest misjustice, but that was against us, was the game against Man City where Tobin Heath scored. But Man City got their goal from the referee getting in the way instead of blowing for the free kick.
Mm-hmm. Freya, have you got one?
So is it something that's benefited us in the end?
Yeah. But it's an injustice to the other team.
Yeah.
I genuinely can't think. We've had that many decisions go against us, to be honest. Lyndsey, is there anything that comes to your mind? I've drawn blank.
for us, it's we noticed that we're I don't say we're a smaller club, but we haven't got as many years experience in the WSL and the top flight as yourselves. So we find that there's always a bias towards the most established and the best funded team. So we don't really get anything, and all we can say is the Conti Cup. But the Conti Cup wasn't really an injustice because justice was served because we got points docked and everything. So it's only if you're a Man United fan that you would say that. But for us, we're normally on the receiving end of decisions like at the game. We're on the receiving end of bad decisions. So sadly, we haven't really got that much.
I could completely agree with you there. I'm just it couldn't happen to a better team. Let's put it that way with that one. Adam, have you got one before I probably?
Yeah, well, the one that sort of came to mind. The one that came to mind was when we played Chelsea at Emirates Stadium and we won 3-2. But the third goal Mead scored was quite clearly offside, just as obviously the one the weekend was, and that one also we got away with. It was a crucial winner. But I always find with decisions, and maybe less so with Aston Villa, you're not haven't been in the WSL as long as maybe us. But I think we are two quickest fans when things go against us. To
throw our toys out the pram.
Yeah, for to say, oh, it's unfair, we didn't get a decision. When we sometimes forget, sometimes we have also benefited them. Maybe not to a certain scale, but there's been penalties and stuff. And I think that's the one that came to mind. I think, we get lucky as well sometimes. Did you have one, Lottie?
It's got to be Chelsea away. The clear Liam Williamson handball. She got away with that one. Very, very lucky girl. Oh yeah, I just don't know how the ref didn't see that one. I'm still kind of discombobulated from it, so to speak.
And that was another time.
Oh yeah, exactly. So last season saw Villa finish 5th, the highest ever you guys have ever finished in table. 4 places up from 21-22 season. Dark horses last season. I got to admit, I did really enjoy watching you guys. I absolutely adore Rachel Daly, and I can't believe you've got Jordan Nobbs at the moment. We still love her very much. Did you have high hopes going into the season, Freya?
I think we were all cautiously optimistic, because when you've had your best ever finish, and the fans plus Carla have all said, the best thing would be to equal it, or to finish at least 5th or 6th, because that would show it's not a fluke. That would show we do have the quality. We do, we can perform to that level and keep it. So I think all of us were like, right, 5th again, mid-table, let's go for it. And I think the way we ended, which funnily enough was with a 2-0 win over Arsenal, it was great. And it ended on such a high note that we were all really, like I said, cautiously optimistic going into it, thinking, can we do this again? And just really, really positive that we could, because we always talk about the Carla Ward magic. In Carla we trust. And, still to this day, the beginning of the season was terrible. We're not going to sugarcoat it, awful. But
you can say that again.
And we're getting better. But yeah, I think expectations from everyone else were very much, they're going to try for Champions League, they're going to go for it, they're going to do this. Whereas, the realists amongst us were like, hang on, let's just calm down. Let's be realistic. Where can we finish? And I think for us, mid-table 5th would be perfect.
Yeah, I was one of those people. I said you'd get Champions League football this season. No, it's fine. It's just that you had it. You've got it all. When you like the arrivals of Kenta Darley, Rachel Daly, the dynamics of Lucy Stanforth and Jordan Nobbs, as like perfect balance of experience and youth there. Lyndsey, do you think you're going to finish higher than 5th at all?
I think we looked at it. I think the points at Christmas, we weren't that far off our points tally last season, and then we went on a run, and to a same degree we've kind of gone on a run, but we've kind of stumbled at the same time. So I think we've got 5 games left, including Chelsea and Man City, and those 2 games we'll be going into them thinking, we'll try and get a point. We'd love to take 3. We're going to take 3, but we've got to be realistic and, get a point, fantastic. But the other 3, we need to be taking points from, and that's going to be the ultimate. Now, I know that the girls can do it, and the way they played the weekend was probably the best they played all season in the way they're playing. So I'm hoping that means they've clicked and we can get it. But it's, what goes on around, and this season it's been such an odd season, and it hasn't been a breakaway of one club. It's been, the bottom, in the middle, everything is so close that it could just go anyway. But I like most people, are very optimistic that we can get 5th, but just have to see.
No, definitely. One of your key signings over the summer was Daphne van Domselaar. How much of a bigger miss has she been since she's had her hip injury?
Massive, absolutely. Well, I won't say massive in the sense that she's a really, really, really good player, really, really good player. But we've got Annalise, and everybody that I've spoken to has gone, who? But last season, when Hannah Hampton was injured, Annalise stepped up, and she was the reason why we had our Conti Cup success. And I think, yes, we do miss Daphne a lot, and the experience that she brings and the level that she plays at so regularly. But we've got Anna, and she proved, I think she kept the scoreline really respectable at the weekend, and I'm hoping that she'll just go on and on. But for us, the biggest worry is injuries. If we get Anna injured, then we're really stuck. So we want Daphne back, but we have got a decent replacement.
So there's no
Did you
chance
think-
of us buying her then.
Wow,
Yeah,
I
that's
can
what I was
see
gonna
it happening. But
Yeah, we've got a thin enough bench as it is. No, thank you. Keep away.
We'd like to keep her. We would like to keep her, but we know that Arsenal is her dream team. So, if she wants
it?
to do
Oh,
a
that's
Hannah,
handy.
then there's nothing we can do about that. But we have got Anna, and Anna's good enough. So,
Can I just sort of say on the Anna, is it Anna Leet? Is that
Anna Leet, yeah.
Annalise.
I never really heard of her until I saw her play at the weekend. And in that second half, that's one of the best goalkeeping performances I have seen. Literally, my head was in my hands every time she's. Yeah, we'll get into the game in a minute later, but I just want to say, I mean, I say Leet by name, Leet by nature. I mean, we're saying Daphne van Domslaan might go. I wouldn't be surprised if a club came in for her as well, because that was for about. I mean, I know her clearances are a bit off, but her shot stopping was incredible. Just hats off to her, because without her, it could have been another Leicester away, which, when we won 6-2. Just a brilliant display from her in that second half.
Absolutely. That's what we've said for quite a while. She's kind of our hidden gem at the minute. We know she's such a great, safe pair of hands. And like you said, could work on distribution, things like that, but she's still so young. She's been called up to the New Zealand international squad. So, she's getting there. She's getting all of that opportunity to develop. And yeah, we've said before, we want her to shine. We want her to get the time, but we also don't want anyone else to have her at the same time. Like, she could just stay for a couple more years. That'd be great. But yeah, so we might have two goalkeeping issues if people try and come in for both of them.
Could always do a swap deal. Could give you Sabs, and then we could take Van Domslaan off you. Maybe that could maybe work. You said it was like a bit of an odd season, because I've looked for some results. You won away at Spurs, which we failed to do. Brilliant result. And then Liverpool comes to your place. And can you explain to me, because I didn't really catch it at the time, but what was the thing about the pitch? Carla Ward was saying about the pitch not being used to playing on their own pitch or something. Or what was the conversation she made? It was really bizarre, because she was almost criticising her own stadium in a way.
The pitch was grim. If you go back and just watch the highlights, it was like a mud bath. It was awful. And I think her words were, Lyndsey, weren't there something along the lines of the pitch, we couldn't play the way we wanted to, and it was something to do with the pitch, and we were all like,
I'm trying to remember, but I remember the quality of the pitch was awful. I think there'd been a men's game, and then there'd been, for some unknown reason, it was just awful. I think we were possibly there, and watching them run round, the players were literally like,
they were sodden.
They were sodden, and they were getting their boots stuck and everything. It was just a really appalling surface. And we've noticed, I think Leicester away, it was appalling surface as well. And I know that, if you play football, you should be able to play on any surface. But if you're playing on that, then it's just the risk of injuries is so great that it needs to be better at this level.
It was obviously a struggle for you, obviously not for Liverpool. Maybe they had longer studs in their boots in the day. But on the topic of the pitch, we played our game at Villa Park. How pleased are you that more and more games are being played at Villa Park for the Villa women? Because it's a great stadium to play in, and there was a great atmosphere to build up with the pyrotechnics and the light show and the music. But obviously, we're one of the few teams that get the privilege of playing there. How long do you think it'll be until maybe all games are played there? Because it's a great stadium to have a game in.
It's a hard one, isn't it? We've talked about it before. It's great as an occasion, but it doesn't really feel like home. So even when it's a home game, it's still like an away game. It's not like
you only had
pitch yet.
10,000, I think. Was it 10,000 fans or something in the end?
Yeah, 10,000. Yeah, which is pretty decent, pretty good. But yeah, I think. But again, we've said before, we really like the system of the Emirates, where you sell out tier by tier, don't you? So you've got that all round atmosphere. And what they do with Villa Park, as you saw at the weekend, they just kind of do like a half, which is great if you're sat with your fellow fans and you've got like a group of you and you can kind of get that momentum going. But if you're not, it's very echoey. And I don't know how off-putting that is, or to the players or even to the fans, kind of, how much noise are we actually making. But I think if it's something we can move towards to make it feel like home, that would be great. Because like I said, the pitch was so much better than
How many
West.
how many games have we played there this season so far? I do. I don't think we get. Also played there. Did have like to Chelsea, Man City, Man United, any other?
I think we've got
So
5 booked in this season for Villa
Yeah.
Park, and we've got 2 to come. So one's against West Ham, which seems a bit odd considering we played Chelsea at Bescott, and
City.
Man City last game of the season.
Yeah,
Because that last season, Villa versus Man City was one of the opening game of the season, and it was absolute corker. And for me, that was like we are Aston Villa, we are here, and we're gonna take some names and ruin some egos here, and they did. So I hope if it is at Villa Park, we get a repeat of that, because that was a stonking game.
No, I couldn't agree with you more there. Going to move on to some international news. The Lionesses have been called up. We've got with the goalkeepers, we've got Mary Earps, Hannah Hampton, Ellie Roebuck. Defenders, Lucy Bronze, Jess Carter, Neem Charles, Alex Greenrose, Esme Morgan, Leah Williamson and Lotta Wooben-Moy. Midfielders, we've got Grace Clinton, Fran Kirby, Jess Park, Georgia Stanway, Ella Toon and Kira Walsh. Forwards, we've got Rachel Daly, Lauren Hemp, Lauren James, Chloe Kelly, Beth Mead and Alessia Russo. Matt, your favourites in midfield. She's been picked. How happy are you?
I thought you were going to talk to me about the goalkeepers. I'm a bit surprised.
No, you've been moaning Jess Park hasn't been picked for a while.
No. Well,
so I give that one to you.
I'm glad that she is, because she's really deserved it. I mean, the format, what was it, 2 goals against Manchester United at the weekend, and she's been playing ironically off the park for City this season ever since that. Adam's laughing, by the way, for those wondering what's happening. Yeah, she's just really come to life, and it's nice to see her in a proper position. When I was watching her at Everton, sometimes she was on the wing, sometimes she was in the attacking midfielder role, and there wasn't really much of a where are you going to play, because it was sort of, she was played where she needed to. But we're getting to see the best of her so far, and I think that she is, if I'm honest, I think she's going to be up there for Young Player of the Season.
No, definitely. I do want to touch on Rachel Daly. Freya, Lyndsey, do you prefer as a forward or as a left back? What do you think she's better at?
As long as she's on the pitch, I don't care, to be honest.
So
The issue with Rach is that she's so strong everywhere, and her desire and motivation to win makes her play in every single position, including goalkeeper, during a single match. So the issue then is, if she's dropping back, she's not then there to be on the receiving end of her own passes. So I mean, I love her as a forward, but I think she's got that grit as a defender, and even as we've seen the last few matches, she's been a attacker or a holding midfielder. Like she literally can do it all. But I think sometimes it does a disservice when it comes to the England squad, because then Serena's like, well, where do I put you? Where am I going to give you minutes? Yeah, Lyndsey, what do you think? Where's she best?
I agree with you. I think up front she's not getting the minutes, and when she does play up front, she's not getting the service, which is really frustrating for her. Whereas when she plays in defence, she is getting the tackles in, she's showing her ability, and she's performing to her best potential. And when you've got someone with a champion mentality, they're not going to be happy settling for underperforming. They're going to be really wanting to push their performance on. So for me, with this England squad, I would upset the Villa fans and take her as a defender and leave Esme Morgan behind and take Aggie Beaver-Jones with me up front, because she's playing so well. And that's what I would have done. But I'm not Serena, so...
Yeah. Do you know what, Lyndsey? I think you're psychic, because that was my next question. If you guys had any changes. But I completely agree with you there. I've got a big question mark over Esme Morgan. I'm not happy. She's not getting the minutes of City. So I don't know how she gets into this squad. Adam, Freya, Matt, any changes for our upcoming fixtures against Sweden and Republic of Ireland?
I wanted to pose a question. I should say it was interesting that Leah Williamson has been thrown straight in. She wasn't that great against Chelsea. I think she had an okay game the weekend. Maybe she'll be a bench option. Great to see Lauren James starting in the team. Rather great to see the likes of, you mentioned, Jess Park, Grace Clinton as well, had a great season. The question I wanted to pose to the pair of yourselves, though, is obviously there's no, well, apart from Rachel Daly aside, no other Villa players. And the one I was thinking of is, do you think Jordan Nobbs has played her last game for England now?
It's hard because we can see Jordan's quality, and of course you guys know Jordan's quality as well, and we'd take her any
I'm
day.
asking it, so.
I'd take her. I think she's still got potential, but I don't know if it's going to be for competitive matches. It might be as a fringe player for friendlies, but it would be such a shame if she doesn't put an England shirt on again, because she is so phenomenal. But on the topic of changes, I'd love Maz Pacheco to get a shout, because she's one of these players that does not stop running at all. And we'll get onto it when we talk about the match, but why she was taken off, I do not know. But she's such a grafter, and you think sometimes you need those players that are going to get the tackles in, that are going to just completely blitz it and go for it, and we need more of that, because it looks like at times that people are scared to put a tackle in and scared to go for it, and it can look like there's no pressure there, and less intensity. So yeah, I really hope it's not the end for Jordan. I really do.
Lyndsey, any extra thoughts on that one?
I was just going to say, I think my head said it's probably the World Cup was her last game, because she doesn't fit Serena's setup of young, exciting players. But I think I would have taken her even as a fringe player, because she has so much experience. Like Jill Scott helped us at the Euros. I think she would bring so much to the England seniors, and also in nurturing the next generation through, to make them feel more at home in the England setup. But since we've been playing a different system since January, she's shone so much. And I just think, last year it was the World Cup she had to play for. This year she's got nothing really to play for, and she's absolutely bossing it. When you say Jordan Nobbs has won a header, Jordan Nobbs is probably the same height as a table, and she's going up against like 6 foot people that just should be winning the headers, and she's winning. And you just think, if she's still got it, and she just needs a chance. And I think taking her as a fringe player would be so beneficial to the squad, and leaving other people behind that maybe aren't performing. But I know we'll bring it on to it later, but I agree with the comment about Maz. It's a bit of an injustice there.
No, definitely. I mean, I did see your the podcast's page tweet, and I did actually sit there and think about it, and I think, do you know what, you're absolutely right. I think she could probably take over from Esme Morgan, to be fair, because the amount of minutes Maz does get, it's well deserved. Leah Willison back in the matchday squad. Is this something we all love to see now we've got a leader back in the team?
I'm fine with it, and it's mixed in terms of, it's great to see her back. It's just whether she's ready to be back. I said it before, we had a bit of a mare against Chelsea. In fairness, everybody had a mare against Chelsea. It's just that Leah Williams' level is so high as one of the, she's the lioness captain. So it's great that she's getting games, and I think jumping way forward, I think this race will probably start the Conti Cup final as well. Great to see her in, and it looks like we're trying to build a Lotta Leah partnership, which makes logical sense. Whether we see that with England as well is another matter. See if Serena puts some faith in it. But yeah, great to see her picking up consistent minutes now. I think she played a full 90 in the end, on this one as well. Yeah, so that's another 90 minutes in the tank. So she's playing 4 games now, full length games. So yeah, providing that she's at her level or close enough to it, hopefully, yeah, it's a positive sign towards the rest of the season.
All right, on to our team news. I'm going to start with the Aston Villa girls, because as they're at home, we had Anna Leet, Sarah Mayling, Noel Marriott, Anna Patton, Danielle Turner, Maz Pacheco, Kenta Daly, Jordan Nobbs, Adriana Leon, Rachel Daly, and Ebony Salmon. On the bench, Sophia Poor, Rachel Coursey, Mary Taylor, Georgia Mollett, Leash Lehmer, Freya Gregory, Simone McGill, Martha McPhail, and Lydia Salway. Was this a regular starting 11 for you guys? This is what you expected? There was only 12 players rumoured to have trained before the build-up to this game, from what we've heard around the Twitter sphere anyway.
Yeah, we've got a running joke now that everyone brings a pair of boots to the match just in case we're called up. We're pretty used to having a small squad. That's no surprise. But yeah, when that came out about there's only 12 in training, we were like, oh no, we've got to play on a hope and a prayer this weekend. Great. But yeah, I think we had some academy players that we've had on the bench before. They're really good, really promising prospects. So we knew it wasn't the end of the world. We did have legs to come on. And we were also unchanged, weren't we, Lyndsey, from the last game against Everton, where we did change formation up a bit, and that worked. So it was very much okay, that worked against Everton. Let's see if we can bring that magic against yous, and just see what happens. Because we, against the bigger teams, we said it before, haven't we, Lyndsey? Like we know how to play when we're the underdog. We struggle to play teams around us or where we could dominate. It's almost as if we don't know how to take that first step forward in that attack. So we kind of went into it thinking, can we get a point? Can we? But again, it was that cautious optimism that drove us through. But yeah, I really like that lineup, to be fair. I think it's probably our strongest that we've got at the minute. And considering our injuries, how many we've had, I just can't wait to see people like Lucy Parker and Lucy Staniforth back on the bench. And of course, Kirsty Hansen were missing as well. So big names out, but that was our strongest from what we had, to be honest.
No, you still definitely have the quality even with the injuries that you have. Lyndsey, Alicia Lehman was benched by Carla Ward for this game. She normally causes us problems. Why was she benched? I mean, she's the one who gives me headaches. At Meadow Park, end of the season last season, she gave us headaches. Why would such a big name be benched for this kind of game?
She's doing her hair. No, I'm only joking. On a serious note, I'm not sure. I think it's formation in the way that we're playing, because we changed our formation and we weren't playing with like Kirsty on the wing and Dree on the wing, and I think we needed to mix it up. And with the Noel and the Alicia link up, it is so good, and I think we just wanted to try something a bit different, because we know that you guys are very physical, you're very fit, and to bring her on when your legs are tiring would be probably our biggest attribute, rather than putting her on at the beginning when you're all fresh legged. Unfortunately, you've got superstars to bring off the bench, so you can maintain your fitness levels, but for us, that's probably what it was. But she hasn't been playing that well recently. It's been a little bit inconsistent, and I think that might have just slipped her down the pecking order a little bit. But the formation where we're playing with Rach in midfield and Ebony and Dree running off the front, that's quite new, and I think that's something that we were adjusting to. We brought in new coaches to help with attacking and being aggressive, and I think that is probably reflected in that. But I'm hoping that we will still be able to play her, and she'll carry on tormenting other players. But it's just what formation works, and when before Christmas it just wasn't working no matter what we did, and now it's starting to click, and it's just making sure that we're keeping at that level. But the substitutions were very bizarre, so that's where I would have brought her on, but we shan't criticise Carla.
I'm trying not to. But the Arsenal starting 11 was Manuela Zinsberger, Emily Fox, Leah Williamson, Lotte Wibben-Moy, Katie McCabe, Captain Kim Little, Frida Leonardson-Mornham, Beth Mead, Alessia Russo, and Chloe Lacasse. On our bench, we had Sabrina D'Angelo, Steph Catley, after 320 days out, Laura Reenvoiter, Leah Cadena, Katie Reid, Kyra Cooney-Cross, Stina Blackstonis, and Caitlin Ford. Matt, how good is it to see Laura back?
It's always good to see another player come back, especially whether it's ACL or any other injury. There's been so many issues around injuries and they're from both teams, not just us, but all around the WSL this season. And we could list them all off, but we'll be here all night if I'm honest. Yeah, look, to be able to be seeing Laura just warm up and seeing her almost back to normal, because I think she's still a little bit way off. I mean, she came on as well, which was fantastic, but obviously I wasn't able to see it in person. I imagine it was very much lively in my side of the corner. Was it lively around your side, Adam, when Laura came on? You're on mute.
Lara Beanwright didn't come on, did she?
Adam, that's my job.
No, Beanwright didn't come on in the end. I mean, I think she warmed up a few times on touchline. Sadly didn't get a game, but her chant did get an airing quite a few times. It's for those who don't know, it's the one to Bon Jovi's "Living on a Prayer," which is a fan favourite, and it's been sadly missed in the terraces as we're waiting for Beanwright to return. So I do hope that when she does make a comeback, it gets a full airing. But it's a start, first step on the ladder, get on the team sheet. Wasn't her game. We weren't, say, no offense, we weren't like 5-0 up, with like 10 minutes to go, that we could just throw players on for the minutes. Like, let's say the Reading game when Leah Williamson came on, it wasn't that sort of game to just throw players who aren't fully there yet. And then unfortunately, the next game's the Conti Cup final. I can't see her being thrown on for that one either. But it's a good start, and it's the last of the ACLs from last season. And just got to deal with the ones from this season now with Taya and Kaylin. But it's good. It's a positive side. We're almost out of that dark, long tunnel, which is good to see.
No, absolutely, it's quite exciting. I do want to talk about a bit about player burnout at the minute. Optus Sport released a load of minutes for all the Australians that have taken the WSL by storm. We had Kyra Queen-Cross, Charlie Grant, Courtney Nevin, Katrina Gorey all joined WSL sides this summer after they hosted the World Cup in Australia. Caitlin Ford has wrapped up 1,220 minutes this season, alongside Steph Catley, who has 1,155 minutes as well under her belt, and we're not even in May yet. Are we now seeing the burnout on the left-hand side for us?
I do think so. And one of the when we got the team sheet come through, one of the celebration, and this is nothing personal against Catley and Ford, there was a celebration that we were seeing Katie McCabe at the left back, Fox on the right, and we were seeing McCabe start. We've just seen Catley and Ford play too many minutes, in my view, and they are good players. I mean, they're not rubbish. They're good players who aren't playing at their level. Even more so, and obviously in the previous game. But we've seen that for most of the season. I don't think they've had comparable seasons to last season, and I do think the Australian World Cup has contributed to that as well. And just the amount of games we played before and after, and the fact that Wienreuter has been obviously out, that Maritz was playing so few minutes that we farmed another player off to Aston Villa. Sorry. I should just very quickly, 5 minutes. How is Narwhal Maritz settled at Villa? Is she doing okay in your eyes? Obviously, she had a bit of the scandal of the League Cup. Obviously, they sort of made a name for it. But how is she settled with the fans at the moment?
Yeah, we love her. So thank you for another one.
No.
All you need to do now is get the Champions League, and then you get to see beast mode Noel Maritz. That is just another level. I'm telling you that now. You need to get Champions League while she's there.
Well, let her know.
Well, we're talking about former players just as well. I've always been a fan of Anna Patterson and the way that she has been improving over the last couple of seasons at Villa. And just this season, how have you been finding Anna so far?
I'll go. Really, really good. I think since we've had a first season on loan, she was injured, wasn't she? And then she came back and did the second season, and it just seems that her confidence is growing, and now she's making that defensive spot her own. The maturity and the confidence that we see when she's been playing for the England pathway, it's really coming through. That confidence is coming through, and she's settled in. She's becoming a leader, and she's one that if she stays with us long term, potentially is captain material because of the way she conducts herself. So it's a big statement to make. Adam's pulling faces at me, but she has the potential.
I'm saying that's
That's a normal
impressive. If she's going to
reaction.
be the Villa captain, that's like, wow, that's really good. Because I think we had her and Lottie with Moy sort of running at a parallel at Arsenal, and I was saying in the pub or pub before the game, it's fascinating to see how the trajectories went in completely different directions. And Lottie's sort of become our first choice centre back, and Anna Patton wasn't, but has maybe found herself again at Aston Villa. Obviously, I don't watch Villa enough. I'm too busy watching Arsenal, so I haven't really been following Patsy's career since. But it sounds like she's settled really well, so that's really positive to see, because there is a talent there. She played over in the States. She came back home, so I'm glad she's found a home there, and she's obviously amongst ex Gooners in Maritz and Nobbs, so she's in good company. But the original point I was trying to say with Catley, because even though he's been injured, and Maritz hasn't been playing at all, we've just been playing McCabe at right back, even though she's a left back, and we've been playing Steph Catley as left back in every single game, and just hasn't had the rotation there to give Catley 5 minutes. And then with Ford, because Hurtig is gone again, Ford is now just playing the left wing because Lacasse was covering for Mead as Mead was coming back from her ACL. I think now Lacasse has moved over to the left, which we saw the weekend. So Ford and Catley have had to play even more minutes to compensate for both the ACLs and the fact that the cover for the ACLs wasn't good enough or was injured. So then we were having to play them. It's just been a perfect storm, or imperfect storm in some sense, and it destroyed them this season. So we were happy that they were benched and Lacasse and McCabe came on instead to start. Whether they were an improvement, whether Arsenal benefited from it in comparison, I think that's up for debate based on how that first half went. Based obviously they came on in the second half, which I was a bit surprised by. But I thought Ford actually looked okay. We'll get onto the game in a bit, but yeah, it was a much needed benching. I do wonder how much more rest they will get with the rest of the season. There's only a few games left, but they are. I did feel like they were running on fumes for a while.
No, definitely. I mean, we talk about burnout on Vic Akers all the time. Do you think any of your players have got any form of burnout at all, Freya? Or do you think you're not at that stage yet where you have to worry about it?
I think we had a lot of mental fatigue, and you can just see the kind of toll it's taken, and especially when we don't have a big enough squad to rotate. So you've got players playing every single minute because they have to, because there's literally no other choice, and that's when your injuries come, and that's when you're looking and you're like, oh, they're so sloppy, why can't they control the ball, what are they doing? And you actually look and you think, actually you can just see it in their eyes, like it's just as if there's no one home. And that's what we said about Rachel Daly getting that retrospective red card. Actually, that came at quite a good time for her, because it gave her that break, and it actually allowed Dree and Ebony to kind of push forward and become that, those front two in our attack, and give Rach that break of playing every position, but also the mental break as well. So yeah, I think for us, it's that mental fatigue as well as that physical fatigue, but purely out of necessity. Yeah, it's hard.
Lyndsey, sorry, Lyndsey. Go on, Lyndsey, go on.
I was just going to say I'd agree with that, and I think after the World Cup, the players across the whole WSL were absolutely exhausted after the World Cup, and then to come back into the league, and with our squad being so small with so many injuries, like Freya said, they're playing out of position, or they're playing many minutes. And when you look at how many minutes players have played this season, and you look at our squad, there's quite a few of them that are quite high up in total minutes played, and that's not always a good thing to have. But this is where the fans and the club differ a little bit, because the fans want more investment in more players for a bigger squad for rotation, but the club are like, well, we don't have the money. So it's that trade-off, isn't it? We need this summer, like Karen Carney said, we need some serious investment this summer to branch out our squad so that we can do the rotation, because we have got players that are travelling many air miles. And I've forgotten where I read it, but they were saying that a lot of these ACL injuries are coming from people who have been on a long cold flight and then come back to training, and that's where the injuries are happening. Now I don't know if that's correct or not.
Yeah,
I'm
that was
not
Emma
one to
Hayes,
speculate.
wasn't it? In the interview.
Yeah, and they're saying that this is the problem, and I just think if we've got quite a few internationals as well, then we need to be really worried about that. So I think our team just need a summer in Ibiza paid for by Villa, not to party and get drunk, but just to sit on a beach and chill and rest and recover, because they've just run their socks off all season.
No, definitely. I
A
mean,
Villa party.
Yeah.
no, absolutely. Lyndsey kind of answered my next sort of question. As Villa fans, what do you want from Aston Villa in terms of investment? I mean, obviously, Emery's having a good run with the men, but what do you think your squad needs overall in terms of investment? Who do you need to bring in to have that rotation?
So I think we need to. We've got quite a few players this summer that are going to be out of contract potentially. So I think we need to look at investing in depth in midfield, which is something that we needed last summer. We need to invest in our defence as well, whether we can afford to upgrade on what we've got, or whether we can afford to bring in a player that's a fringe player and pushing for that first that starting 11 spot. I think we really need that, but also I think we need to invest in resources for the girls, because they've got Bodymore Heath, which is a fantastic training centre for them. They've got the ice baths, they've got everything, but what we need to do is invest, and this will come as the game develops, but invest in the support that they get, so that the analysis that they can do, so that they've got they can do more in-depth analysis and improve their performance. And then if they can invest in the cameras that we have at the smaller grounds, then the feedback that they can have on their game will be better. So it's not just about the players, it's about the whole package, and making sure that these players are getting support, and maybe look into the impact, build on the other people's research into the impact of periods on games, and dietetics and all that kind of thing, to try and make it more competitive. But also a lot of them psychologically have reached out for help, and if we can give them some in-house support psychologically with performance anxiety and dealing with the injuries, then I think that would really help. So it doesn't really answer your question as such, but there's lots of things we'd like, but we're not going to get.
What? That is the perfect answer. You're not just looking at just the players, it's the full picture. Because you look at Arsenal and we've more or less got all that, but we share the same facilities as our men. I don't know if you guys do, if the Villa women do or not, but we've got most of that covered, and it's for me, it's looking at that bigger picture. It's a little bit disappointing that they haven't put that support in yet, and with the league like growing the way it is, it should be there already. For me personally, Freya, have you got anything to add to that?
No, I completely agree. It needs so much investment. It's just convincing those at the top that the women are worth it. And unfortunately, Lyndsey will know this more than me, but we had a change in, was it the head of women's football, Lyndsey?
Yeah, and I think as a CEO, Christian Perslow left, and he was a big fan of women's football and was quite happy to not pump money in, but put a significant amount of money into the women's game. And since he left, it's been the priority of the club has been on the expansion of Villa Park and hospitality and facilities around that, rather than actually looking at any investment in the women's game, but also in the Aston Villa Foundation for the disabled. I don't want to say disabled people, but the disabled community that use that, whether that's the kids or the adults. And there's a lot of saying that they'll do stuff and then not making it actually inclusive for everybody. So it seems like the club's priorities have shifted away from the communities that would really value the investment to throwing money at the club to make it a bit more of a dramatic event. We've seen with WSL, they're saying they want to make it into like a a fairground type thing and that kind of event and make the WSL like that. And we're like, no, that's not what football's about. And because they're trying to make it that big event, it's taken away from football. And it's like, can we just get investors that know what they're talking about and get people that are going to invest in the club and get the best out of the players so that we can achieve everything, so that we can have a run with Carla like Emery's having with the men's, and also our academies and everything else and the foundation are also getting that support.
Yeah, because I was just going to say briefly after that.
Sorry.
That yeah, Lyndsey waffles. I don't know if you've caught on by now. But
all good.
and the issue was last season we brought in the players and we spent wisely and we bought wisely, and it was exactly what we needed at the time to compete. And I think that's why we not overachieved. We got that performance, we got that end result, but the players we then brought in this season were good, but everyone else has caught up. So it was essentially we were kind of almost plateauing. We were like staying the same, where really we needed to push and stretch and get that next caliber of player again, whether that's more youth from different leagues in Europe, that maybe more undiscovered talent that were going to come in, because obviously we lost Laura Blinkilda Brown as well to Man City, who was sitting on the bench, and it's driving me crazy when she was a starter for Villa. So it's all about, if we don't have that money, and Carla came out and said, we need help. So the fact that she actually said that was mad, that she had to come out and say it. But yeah, it's being wise with those options and showing why we need it and why we need that investment, because if we don't start getting it, could we be on, hopefully not, but we'll see what happened to Reading and the trajectory they went on. So yeah, it's investing wisely, but proving that the women's game is worth it. And I think in a lot of areas, in a lot of areas of society as well, that's a battle that we're still fighting for. Not to get too political, but yeah, it's that investment and that belief. The fans have got it, the team's got it. We just need to convince the people who hold the purse strings.
Absolutely, and it always helps if they know what they're doing. But sometimes you do get those, politely idiots that think they want to, like Nuco, who have fought the WSL. We will come back to them later. They want to make it like a fairground, and they seem to think that all the fans seem to kind of get on. We all like each other, but I've sort of come over into WSL football in the last couple of seasons, and I still don't like Tottenham Hotspur. And that's just me. Do you know what I mean? I've got a soft spot for Aston Villa women, though. I will say that. But it's not all butterflies and rainbows and all that kind of stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I want that competitiveness between the fans.
Yeah, I love the banter. I love, all the songs aimed at each other, but it's when it's in good spirits.
Yeah.
And, you can
there's
have
always
that
a line.
And yeah, when it's proper banter. They've been to a few games this season where it's felt almost intimidating, and I've gone, oh, I don't like this, because then that fun had gone out of it, and I was like, oh, there's no need for that. That's too far. So I think that's the beauty of the majority of the women's game, that everyone's still the majority is in that like banter mode, where you can go out and enjoy it, and it's still towards the family friendly end of it. Not saying it's got to be completely, but it's still fun. You can still enjoy it. You don't feel in any danger or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Can I put a question for Lyndsey and Freya? Because were you both at the game? At the
Lyndsey was.
I was, yeah.
Lyndsey. So, what was, from your perspective watching it, what was the away support like? Because Arsenal, the away support has got a lot of news in terms of the numbers and the noise that they bring to games, and there's always talks about whenever they go to another ground, that ground usually has a record of attendance, and they sing the whole time. And Jonas was talking pre-match about, I can't believe our fans are still supporting us this well, even though we played so poorly against Chelsea. They're amazing. So I wanted to know what the view was from the other side of the fence. So you're sitting in the ground watching the game, and you can see the red and white and the Arsenal Sports Club and all the fans making the noise. What was that like as an experience?
So for me, when 'cause I've seen Arsenal fans at Bescott and I've seen them at Villa Park, and at Villa Park there's more of you because there's more seats. Not to state the obvious. So it's great to see. You always come in fine voice. You always come with banter. I know that our lot was singing to you, "We're Aston Villa, we wear our own socks," and that's what the socks were flinging around
That's
for
brilliant.
you.
Thanks for that.
That's the nice banter that you like. You know, it's not offensive. It's not rude. It's not crude. It's family friendly. But no, you always come in fine voice. You always come loud. I thought putting the Arsenal fans in the Holt that were in the Holt, I thought was disrespectful to Aston Villa because that is traditionally all Villa, and we thought that they should have put the Arsenal fans all together in one area and not let them in the Holt, because it's almost like saying, well, in the men's game we do this, but in the women's game you can just go wherever, and we just like, but we're still the same team. So we just thought that was a bit poor form. But it wasn't anything that you guys had done.
As well, actually. Yeah, it's Aston Villa that arranged that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was us that did it.
Yeah.
So I think it's us not doing it properly. Go on.
So to say, because there's a big thing this season about getting away allocation sorted and concentrating the away support into like you do with the men's team. You have a specific area which is just for the away fans, and then you get the home fans wherever. Now, I wasn't too sure how this was arranged. Was this a mixed? Was it mixed Arsenal and Villa in the end for this game, or was there an element of segregation? Because you said there was away fans.
Yeah, I think if you think about it in the men's game where you are segregated, you've got police separating you, because there's always one silly sausage that gets themselves into trouble. But no, that it was sit wherever you want kind of thing, which is the policy they've had all season. However, they did put off certain areas and say, if you're the Arsenal supporters and you want to sit together as a fan club or as a group, then aim for these blocks. So I think that's how it was done. And they put you all in the corner, so you were all round the corner flag, which was kind of nice thinking. But when you putting away fans in traditionally a stand that's all home fans, it's a little bit disrespectful of Aston Villa to do that to the women rather than. So it's nothing that Arsenal had done. It was our ticketing that was just poor. But I think what actually happened was they gave you an allocation, you sold it, and then they were like, "Oh pants, where do we put them? Oh, we'll put them around the corner." And then they opened up the hole, and I think that's what happened with the ticketing.
It's a bit poor, but they underestimated just how many numbers Arsenal bring. Considering I went to Liverpool and we sold out their entire end, and Arsenal fans were having to buy tickets in the home seats because there were none available in the away fans, which has caused a bit of controversy. Actually, a lot of people aren't happy about this. Given the size of Aston Villa and how many seats, well, there were available, it seems very, very naive of them to not assume that Arsenal would bring major numbers along and not allocate a stand, say that'll be your stand. And yeah, it sounds like they dropped the ball on this one.
Where is the away stand section in Villa Park? Because it's not really mentioned around in the signs or anything like that. Every time I've been, I've always been in the whole end.
I think it's the other side. I will be corrected. Very rude. Well, I'll get told off because I'm sure it's the other side and it's lower down in the stands. But what you were saying about with the allocation and the Arsenal fans, when we went to Arsenal, Freya because Freya went, we only got like something like 50 tickets or something. We were only given 50 tickets, and I put on Twitter something like, it's really appalling that we'll give you like X amount of tickets because you bring such a big following, and we're limited to 50 tickets, and then if we want tickets we've got to jump in with you guys, which just seems a bit unfair, really. But
was it the game this season? The game Emirates in this season?
No, it was
that's the Meadow Park game.
Oh, this is Meadow Park. Yeah.
Oh, was this when Carla Ward? Oh, yeah, because we had a bit of a Carla Ward had a bit of a comment, and then we had a bit of a joke about it now about tickets and free tickets and all sorts. There's been a bit of consternation about that with away tickets. I'd like to think that we've got that resolved now because sometimes we get a Meadow Park. There's usually a considerable away support that do like to come to these games, and like yourselves. But as we're moving to Emirates Stadium, I'm hoping that'll be less of an issue at some point. When that does happen.
How was your allocation at the Emirates? Just out of curiosity, Freya.
So when we went, we did quite well. There was a couple of hundred of us went, but we were still in with the Arsenal fans. So we were in that corner and we had a group, but there was no like end of, or like a little bit of a gap or something.
There was no clear separation.
Yeah, there was no separation. So we had Arsenal fans sitting either side of us, but like in the same rows. So, you know, when we scored and when we were leading for a lovely 70 odd minutes, it was great. And we were singing and we were chanting. And then that was annoying the Arsenal fans, because obviously they were right next to us and they were like, oh, can you just shut up? Like, come on, like, we're trying to watch that. But we were trying to have a good time, but not to be disrespectful. But then it's hard because you don't want to stop.
It's hard to be quiet when you're winning.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't win very often. We've got to take these chances.
Exactly. We've got to take it when
What was I going to say,
But in that corner, it was pretty much we were by the corner flag, and then the Arsenal support was still going around the corner, so there was no separation. So what we'd done, we'd all kind of booked together, so we had that block. But even online, before they went off sale, because essentially what they'd done, we didn't completely sell out, so then they just opened it up, so then Arsenal fans could then book in that block as well. So, which I get, because you want numbers and you do get the attendances. But yeah, it just would have been nice to maybe have like a row or two, just as like a little buffer would have been nice.
Yeah. Do you think you'll ever sell out Villa Park?
Yeah.
I'd love to. I'd love to think that. But I think at the minute, we're looking at what Bescott average attendance, what, 1,000, between 700 and 1,000.
Yeah.
So that's growing. That's getting so much better. But we're not at a stage yet where we've got enough people who, like Arsenal, is, yes, you've got your fans, but it's also a brand.
Yeah.
And people will travel for Arsenal. They will travel for the Emirates.
Yeah.
Whereas Villa Park and Villa doesn't quite have that pull. So, I mean, 10,000 was fantastic. I think 3,000 were your traveling fans, which is, phenomenal. But we're just not at that point yet. So yeah, give it a couple of years, and then hopefully, we can sell half of it. But that's where we'd like to be ultimately, getting the fans in from both the men's and the women's game, getting us all together, that one club mentality that you do so well, and just have more of a pull, to be honest. Whereas at the minute we don't have as much of a pull as yourself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hopefully one day you'll be able to do it, because do you know what I just want? All I want is for all the WSL teams to have the backings of the men's team, and then just sell out the stadiums, just to prove a point to all these people that are just like, oh, what's the point of women's football, sort of thing.
No one watches women's football.
We do. There's loads of us. We sell out. But that's right. We've been talking for about an hour, but let's get on to what we're really here for, and that is the game. 36 minutes in, 1-0 Aston Villa. Ebony Salmon scores against the run of play with a lovely calm finish. Lottie Wibbenmoy forgets to track Adriana Leon as she runs into the box, latches onto a smart pass from Jordan Nobbs. Adriana pulls back the ball to Ebony Salmon and steers it into the corner of the net. What was your view of that goal, Lyndsey?
Well, it was completely against the run of play, so we were just cheering along because we were like, oh, we've got it out our half. It's been fantastic. It was a good goal. It was well worked, and it was a really pretty football, and I think it started with Anna Patton. So thank you for her. She it got up and it worked really well, but up until that point we were playing really pretty football, but we were pushed into our own half, so to actually break out, it was great. But the goal was well taken. The opportunities that we'd had before then, there was a penalty shout, lots of things were happening, and it just didn't feel like it was going to be our game. So to then have that, we were like, oh well, maybe our luck's in. And then I turned to my dad, who was with me, and he said, "Have you seen the clock? It's a long way till 90 minutes." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay."
Did
Were
that
you
burst your
thinking
bubble a tiny
about?
bit?
Were
Sorry.
you thinking about the game earlier in the season when you had that goal in the first half, and it was a bit of a can we cling on, and obviously it fell apart a bit early this time around. But was that in your mind to thinking of what happened at Emirates Stadium, that it might happen again, that you might fall short, having been so close?
Well, when you have our kind of luck, you know that the odds are always against you. But as a fan, you always have to believe, don't you? And to be one up against Arsenal when they've got so many fantastic players out there and be frustrating them up to that point, then you have to believe. But you also know that, because we noticed by half time our girls were absolutely on their last legs. So to be able to compete with what you guys have got and what you're going to bring off the bench, it's like, is that enough of a buffer to get a point?
Because the goal happened right in front of me, so I was it was at my half of the pitch. So I was sort of level with the penalty box, and most of the action in that half had been at the other end of the pitch. But it was the same old Arsenal. It was the Villa on the low block, as every team does. Arsenal can't break them down. They're slow, they're ponderous, they pass it around, crosses ahead of the keeper. Passes are blocked. There's no pace, there's no sort of real movement. Everything's getting clogged in the central. Your midfielders and defence doing very well to sort of hold Arsenal off and not having that intelligence to break them down. And it's all very samey in season after season. And of course, what happens? Villa score with the only shot. It's the only shot they had in the entire match. I mean, 0.2 XG, and that turned into a goal. And it's a really well worked goal. It starts a few minutes earlier. Ball gets Villa. Well, I noticed Villa did this a lot. They targeted our full a lot, and they ping a ball over Katie McCabe's head, and Katie McCabe goes to head it and misses. And at that moment, it's danger. I think Arsenal made clear the first ball, but they never really get settled. And then Lottie Moy, who I saw her praises last weekend, I thought we were rubbish against Chelsea, but she was one of the few players who could sort of hold her head up and say, "I did all right." This was her error. She loses the player. Well, she uses the player for the initial pass, and then the cutback doesn't get there. It's really well worked. It's really well worked, isn't it? And it's a really good finish from Salmon. Was it Emily Salmon?
Emily Salmon, yeah.
Did she arrive in the winter window, or am I making it
summer window?
Summer window, was it? Summer window,
yeah.
Sorry. And I know that I think she came. She was in the States originally, wasn't she? I think she'd gone out there.
She played with Rachel at Houston Dash.
Yeah, and then came back. How has she been, just out of interest? How has Salmon been as a signing, as another striker, rather than having just Rachel Daly up front? How has she been?
She's finding her feet. So there's a really good player in there, but she just needs to adjust to the WSL, and she just needs to get settled and get used to the way that Villa play. Because we've had such a torrid time till Christmas, I think it's been harder for her to settle. But now, when we saw her play the weekend, it's probably one of her better games, and potentially she will go forward and will do well. But she's been a bit underwhelming, to begin with. But now she knows, what's expected of her, where she needs to be, and she's clicked with the rest of the team. She's doing really well. She's not Rachel Daly replacement, but she's a really good player.
Yeah, because she didn't get a consistent run of games at all. So it was really like in and out, 10, 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there. And you could see, like Lyndsey said, you could see our potential, but the confidence wasn't quite there. Because I think we looked at a bit of her performance at Houston Dash, and it was very much the midfield kind of did the work. She'd run, and then lovely finishes in the net. And because Villa, like Lyndsey said, weren't set up like that, she just couldn't make that impression, couldn't get going. But I think with this consistency and this confidence, you can tell our potential. She's still I'm a bit uncertain, because she's still a bit too selfish sometimes with the ball. Doesn't quite know when to release, quite to bring someone else in, but that's getting much better since when she first came in. So yeah, again, a lot of potential, and if we can just nurture that, then again, another threat up front.
No, absolutely. I mean, do you think it's her age that goes against her for her?
Ebony's.
Yeah.
she's still very young and with a lot to learn. And if you look at the Villa squad, I think I saw a stat, we've got the oldest average age of the WSL, actually with yous as well. The difference is you've got players mid to late 20s in their prime, and we've got the slightly older players who great quality, but if you put them against younger players for 90 minutes, it's going to show in the end, isn't it? So I think she's got so much to do, and I think maybe a bit of immaturity, and that comes across in the play. But I think because we have got those older and more kind of professional figures that have, got the experience, got the quality, I think that's really proven to have had an effect. So I'm excited to see where she continues to go, and how she's going to improve.
No, definitely. It's exciting times for Ebony Salmon. But we get to half time. Thoughts on half time, Matt?
It was just a case of making sure that I was hoping that we'd get some sort of goal back before half time, because I wanted to see a goal before I left from us. But it was just a case of trying to keep on going and keep making sure that we're going to have more shots. It was one of those halves where it was a really odd one, where if it could have quite easily been 1-1 with a little bit of luck, but at the end of it, I think 1-0 was probably deserved by Villa because of the way that they really defensively worked as a unit, and they really frustrated Arsenal with the shots going pretty much everywhere but the back of the net. So that was a huge credit to Villa, and to be able to score a great goal a great goal like they did with Ebony Salmon as well, which I say thank you for the points as well, because that's a couple of extra fantasy league points that I added. But yeah, it was one of those where if you're a neutral, you're loving it because you don't know, because the underdog are winning and you get it, but it's a lot of end-to-end football. It's not just very dominant displays. It was a great first half, but for Arsenal, it was just one of those ones where you're just thinking, same old story, as Adam was saying, passing backwards and forwards, and everyone's got the same ideology of you need to be playing 1-2-2s against low blocks. You can't be taking. I think I started counting the amount of touches some of the players were taking, and some of them were taking 6, 7, 8 touches before they were past it, and by then the opportunity had gone. But to go into halftime 1-0, I think Jonas had a few words again to say to them and try and make sure that this doesn't happen on Sunday. Let's say that.
No, definitely. I'm kind of dreading travelling up to Wolverhampton, but let's just not think about that for now. Adam, 54 minutes, Villa 1, Arsenal 1, Victoria Pelova, and unfortunately Jordan Nobbs is a downfall for Aston Villa. Got caught in possession, resulting in Alessia Russo breaking through to goal, takes a shot, only for Anneliet to produce a fine save, but Victoria Pelova's there with the equaliser in a very Dutch fashion. Scores a absolute banger. I mean, how good is that to see from Vic?
I mean, obviously, I'll get to the Vic in a minute. I was saying in regards to Nobbs, once a gooner, always a gooner. Her true colours came through in that minute. Well, this is the thing. The Jonas ball is all about the high press, high intensity turnovers, and boy, were there turnovers in that second half. And it was like a switch had been flipped. And from where I was watching, I think, because I said earlier about how poor I played in the final third, and I think it must have been within the first 5-10 seconds. I think it was really early in the second half. We had a move that went down our left, Villa's right, and we got an overlap and we got a wicked ball in. And I was like, they've got it. They've clicked. They've found it. We are breaking the lines. We weren't doing that at all in the first half, and we nothing came of it. I think Villa cleared it, but it's like, yeah, this team have found it. It just need to do something with it. And we'll be honest, we did get gifted this goal. It's one of those ones where the move, I didn't see because Villa were playing out, so you weren't really paying attention, and then just suddenly out of nowhere, the ball was being played through to Russo, who's 1v1 with the keeper. having seen the highlights back, it's Jordan Nobbs gets swarmed. It's the honest way of playing, trying to get that turnover, and crucially Arsenal getting a turnover and playing it forward, not playing it back to the halfway line and cycling the ball about. And I think back to our first goal in the League Cup a few days. Sorry to bring this one up as well, but the League Cup game, Dina's first goal comes, Arsenal getting a turnover on the corner, Mead, Frida straight through to Stina, who then scores. It's that quick movement, catching the defence when they're flat-footed. To be honest, I didn't think Russo was going to score. I didn't have the confident 1v1 that she would do it, and it is a great save from Anneliet. But Palova, that's a really good volley, because it would have been so easy just to lash at it and send it sailing over the bar and into the hole 10. That's a really good composed volley. And she had, right place, right time. She anticipated the keeper might spill it. Really good finish, and the overriding sensation was relief. We're on the board. So what's happened prior to that can be sort of wiped from existence. We've got a platform. We haven't had to wait to the 92nd minute for the equaliser. We've got it a bit earlier this time. And it was just like, right, okay, can we kick on from this? Because from what I've seen in the early stages first half, we've got our flow going. We're playing how we should be playing against low blocks that we've been struggling to all season. And not risk of jumping ahead, to be honest, we kind of did click from there, and it just seemed to get better and better and better at it. And like I said, we're going to get onto the chances we'll get onto, but Anna, I say again, Anneliet, without her, it could have been a massacre.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we can all agree player of the match was Anneliet. She was absolutely sensational. Freya, what did you make of her first initial save from Alessia Russo?
I just think the fact that as, a substitute keeper, essentially, she's not on number one, to come out at Villa Park against Arsenal, knowing she's going to be under constant threat throughout, and the fact that the ones that went in, she couldn't really have done anything about. And like you said, she stopped so many. I'd love to see the stats on that, how many she actually saved, because it was just constant. And but she can only do so much. That comes down to our defense as well. And the fact that she stepped up on such a massive stage and proved to everyone that she's there, she's worthy, she's a contender. I thought she was phenomenal. Definite player of the match for me. But I think Victoria Palova got player of the match, didn't she, for that one? But yeah,
in that second half before she came off, I thought Palova was terrific. So I was just going to say, must have been Palova took the goal well, but what the industry she was offering in the midfield, twisting and driving past the defenders and getting into those half spaces. I was sad to see her come off, but I can understand it rests her legs. But she looked really good.
And definitely, we need that kind of performance for Sunday. That's for sure. Lyndsey, do you think the passing around your back line is always a little concern?
Yes, a little bit. We don't know what's going on, because we seem to do beautiful football in our own half, but it seems to be our problem all season has been we've been moving the ball forward but really slow pace, and we'd rather pass it back to our keeper, which then puts our keeper under threat and our defence under threat, rather than trying to move it forward or switch it across the pitch. It's really frustrating, and we've been caught out so many times doing that, and I don't know why they still do it, but it seems to be the trend at the moment, and we're not sure if it's because obviously Leanne coming from Arsenal, she's bringing the Arsenal way, which works fantastically with Arsenal players because they're very high calibre, but our players, they're not the same calibre, and they don't have the same quality, and they don't have that buffer to get away with it like the Arsenal players do. So yeah, it's really frustrating for us to watch as fans, and the amount of times you hear people go, just kick it forward, get rid of it, it's just frustrating.
No, I think I find myself doing that most of the time, especially when we come up against Chelsea. It's just, especially at Stamford Bridge, I was screaming my head off. I never want to go back there again. I've been there enough to last me a lifetime. But sometimes you just have to the question, especially with our players, like, why don't you just get rid of the ball? I can completely see where you're coming from too, with your players. Time goes on, 84 minutes. Villa 1, Arsenal 2, loss of Ruben Moy. We finally get our reward in utter domination. Russo pings the ball across to Ruben Moy, who heads it across the goal into a vacant net, and Elite is well out of position. Adam, what was the view like from your seat?
It was fantastic, and I know I'm going to bring up Elite again, but the best compliment I could pay for performance before this goal was the amount of times I had my head in my hands. Because Lotte had a header earlier that she did brilliantly to tip over, and I was like, oh, I can't believe it. And then we had the Russo, was it Russo? No, the Palova, I think the Palova volley that she tipped over. It was the acrobatic volley. I thought, oh, that's going for the top corner. No, that got tipped over. I was like, this is unbelievable. And then the worst one, we were just talking about the playing out. The keeper kicks the ball to Beth Mead. She very immediately just pings it straight into the box. Ford's running onto it. I'm thinking she's going to lash it in. No, somehow she saves that one. I'm thinking this is ridiculous. And then we're hitting the woodwork. We're hitting shots over. And I'm thinking this is going to be one of those days. And then finally, the pressure tells. And this comes back to something we've been asking for ages, which is play Stina at 9, play Russo at 10. Russo likes to come deep. She likes to play with the ball. She likes to come deep for the ball. Play her there. And Stina coming on as the out and out striker, it just cranked up our attack even more. And that comes from Russo being deep and sending in a superb cross for Lotte. And Lotte does everything right. She heads it back across, because I think Stina had one, she actually headed straight at the keeper. It was a bit of a mistake by her. Good save by the keeper, but she gets it either side, it's a goal. Brilliant header by Lotte, and that was sort of redemption for the mistake she made for the goal. And this was about 5 minutes to go, and I was just so relieved. Like, right, we got the lead now. Just don't do anything stupid. Just see this out. It's a good win. If we hold out and we can just say it was because I think we played well enough to be more than 2-1 up. And it was, I would say, at 2-1, I thought that was a fair result based on the balance of play, based on certainly how the second half had gone.
No, most definitely. I mean, did we deserve to be at the lead at this point, do you think, Freya?
No. No, I think it was going to be one of them cases of, like we said earlier, when Villa get the winner. No. When they score early on, they've dropped the most points out of anyone this season. That's the worst rate going. So we know, we are well aware, if we are 1-0 up, it's going to go horribly wrong sometime soon, which was when at Everton, when we were suddenly 2-0 up, we were like, oh, we've got a bit of a buffer. This is quite nice. So we knew it was never going to stay 1-0 for long. We thought 1-1, right? And again, we got to the 85th minute?
86.
I think it's 84th minute. It's 86. Yeah.
So even then, we got to the 86th minute, and it was like, okay, could we possibly get a point? Could we just keep that tight defense? Can we, can Annalise keep on going to churn something out? Because looking at your shots, I mean, it's quite funny. You've won in the end, but the fact that 37 shots, 12 on target,
13 on target.
13 on target, yeah.
Hang on, I've got them here. Hang on, I've got them here. Let me get the stats up.
Annalise saved 10 of those
ridiculous.
shots on target, by the way, as you were
many?
wondering earlier.
So
Annalise saved 10 of those
37
shots, 13 on target.
So 37 shots, 13 on target, and with an XG of 4 to 0.2, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. So really, when you look at our stats, 100% conversion rate is quite, I'll take that. That's pretty decent. I'll take that for Villa. Thank you very much. But yeah, as soon as that second one went in, and we thought, right, if we can just get to the 92-1, actually, considering we got absolutely hammered 4-0 in the Conti Cup in the first half.
Yeah.
2-1's not bad. So then, of course, when we get to the third one, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, but yeah, it just got to that point where we're like, you know what? At the end of the day, 3-1, considering the barrage of attacks, the barrage of shots, the barrage of everything, I'll take that, to be honest, the fact that we did hold out for so long. Lyndsey, do you think the same?
Yeah, I think that second half, once it got to about 60 minutes, I was clock watching. I was just clock watching because the pressure was just intense. And at one point, all the Arsenal players, apart from Zinsberger, were in our half, and they were literally just pushing and pushing and pushing. And we're like, it's going to come from somewhere. We don't know where, we don't know when, but it's coming. And we've just got to try and make it respectable, because there's no way we're going to break this.
No, I think this next goal is the one we're all waiting for. Even I don't think it should have been counted, because it was absolutely terrible. 86 minutes, Aston Villa 1, Arsenal 3. Stina Blackstenius, she latches onto a pass, helped by being by a yard offside as usual. Then she trips it inside the box, resulting in cuddling the ball. I don't know what she trips over. She seems like she falls over her own feet.
It like slipped, didn't it?
Yeah, and then she kind of just got up and then took the shot, and it went into the goal. Rachel Daly got booked for protesting, which was, to be fair, it's a ludicrous goal to be awarded. Stina is obviously a bit sheepish and kind of staying away from the refs as far as possible. For me, the officials need to give answers. A, it's offside. B, it's handball. But she still finishes and they do nothing. Appalling officiating. I mean, how are you guys feeling, Lyndsey, about this?
Well, I was sat on the halfway line and I could see it was offside. Now, my eyesight's not the best, but I've been to Specsavers, and I think the ref and the linesman or lines people need to, because whoever's running the line missed the offside, and the ref wasn't that far away from seeing a handball, and they both missed it. And then the audacity to put Rachel Daly for fairly protesting, because we've had this done to us before, where we have challenged something that has been really bad officiating, and then we've been penalised and fined as a club for failing to control our players. And it's like, well, are we not allowed to challenge the ref when they've made a bad decision? You know, it's not like we've crowded round them like we've seen other teams do. It's not like we've got and tried to sweet talk them like Katie McCabe does to get out of a red card. So what is it exactly that we're doing? You know, why is she getting booked? But yeah, it was absolutely frustrating for us. And it was just poor all round. And you saw it on football Twitter after, like, how was it missed? And I know that there's all calls for VAR and stuff, but I think first and foremost we need to get these officials making the right decisions, because if that had been a Champions League game for you guys and it had gone against you, you could have been knocked out. And we don't want that. We want, you know, everybody to succeed and, you know, a fair result at the end. And if that means that, you know, a goal's disallowed, then a goal's disallowed. You know, how's it fair if it's not? But that makes me sound really bitter, and I'm not. I just think, you know, either way, it shouldn't have stood.
You just want fair officiating, don't you? Like, regardless of the outcome, because as fans, what we should all try and be is not looking at through rose-tinted glasses and just say, actually, that was a handball. We're a bit lucky there that didn't go in. But you can clearly see it, and you use the facts, and you know, we should be in a position to trust the officials, and we shouldn't be in a position where, you know, we ever disagree with them or we doubt them or anything like that. You know, we want to have respect for them, and that comes with education, it comes with training, it comes from making them professional, so they can spot these things. And that is a massive failing within women's football, across, you know, all of the leagues. And we've got some fantastic refs, of course we do, but that needs to be across the board, and that standard needs to be raised higher, because if you're expecting the players to be playing up here, the officiating can't be down here. You know, it needs to be top notch. And I think when it's so obvious, and we saw it against the West Ham Chelsea game as well, you know, that was offside. It wasn't, it was onside. But it's those clear and obvious ones. Fair enough when it's really tight, and that can be human error. Fair enough, that can be an apology after the match. It still hurts, but it's more understandable. But when it's like that, and then with the handball, when you've got literally all the players around going handball and still nothing, and then you've got
the player reaction as well. The player gives it away,
and then you've got commentators going, "Oh, it was a handball. Oh, never mind, that doesn't count."
Yeah, no, like, I wasn't happy with that. Even though she's one of ours, I was like, "Hang on a minute, what do you mean it doesn't matter? It's not on. Full stop.
It was
So-
very biased, and I know some ex-players obviously have a bias, and we know, and as long as it's fair, like you can have a bit of a favourite. Like we know that's going to happen, but watching that back, because I was driving at the time, so I wasn't actually watching it. Watching it back, I was saying, would that actually fly on anywhere else? Because there were so many comments that were really biased and really not fair, and I was like, that needs pulling up. That's not okay. I don't know what anyone else thought.
Just
I just
on
wanna
the
say-
refereeing
Oh.
for this game. Sorry, Adam. I'll just run quickly.
Yeah.
I thought it was really bad. There've been, if Lottie will know, because sometimes at the Emirates I'm near her. If the referee is
You
really
miss it.
bad,
Let's be honest.
when the referee's really bad, I do tend to ask the referee if they want my glasses to see.
I'm with you on that one. I call the referees a Tory. It's more offensive than the other word. So yeah, I scream my head off. I do have a fair few people laugh at me, but I don't care.
I was tempted on this occasion to ask the referee and the linesman if they wanted my glasses, because it was absolutely odd, and it's becoming more and more of a thing now, and I'm getting frustrated that I'm coming on here. I think I'm the one that's talking more about the referees than both Lottie and Adam, and I'm always putting up the point that they're not full time, and it is an issue, as you both mentioned. And hopefully when Nuco come together, that'll be one of the first points will be the refereeing, because it's just a shambles. You can't have goal line technology. You can't have I think Emma Hayes called it VAR light. You can't have anything without going full-time professional refereeing.
No, absolutely. I mean, it might have worked at Kings Meadow, but I think before any conversations of VAR should be taken, I think WSL need to address the fact that the officials are still all part-time. While these roles of the officials are extremely dedicated, and that they're professional in speech marks, professional in their application, I just feel like they're not doing the best job they can. The focus does need to be on the refereeing officials, but if VAR is not the way forward right now, what is?
It's making them full-time professionals and getting the proper training, making them official referees. And I always think when managers blame VAR, so if we had VAR, the game would be different. That's a defensive tactic away from the fact that you actually failed on the night. And we saw Mark Skinner do that in the North, in the Manchester derby. He said, "Oh, VAR would have made difference." It's like, no, it wouldn't, Mark, because the fact is your team was rubbish on the day, didn't turn up. Well, had a good 10 minutes and were rubbish. We're going to a complete different game, but I just want to quickly get this out before I talk about the goal itself. Too many referees do that. They say, "Oh, VAR would have saved it," and push the agenda towards the referees and to deflect from the fact that they are incompetent managers. On the goal, I've got a lot of annoyance about this goal, surprisingly, which I'll explain. I was actually, again, perfectly positioned, pretty much on the offside line. So you can always tell when something's a bit off when the goal happens. So we should say, firstly, Stina's offside. So that's, mistake one by the official. Mistake two, Stina has to low cross it to forward. Forward is screaming for the ball in the box. Low cross her, she doesn't. She falls over. Okay, that's another mistake. Mistake is now Villa. Villa, stop. You must not stop. Even when something you think has gone wrong, you must place the whistle, and they don't. They all stop. In fact, one of the defenders was waving, trying to say it was a handball, rightly so, obviously. I can understand why. But the whistle hasn't blown, and then Stina gets up and does 3 nutmegs in one shot, which I've never seen before, to score. And obviously the referees missed all of it. I'm furious because I predicted a 2-1 win. So to see Stina ruin my match day prediction at the last minute, I was left steaming. I should also say, though, Villa have a habit of this. They conceded 2 quick-fire goals at the Emirates Stadium and 2 quick-fire goals at Meadow Park as well. And one, they have a habit of the double punch to take them out of the equation. I would say it's no consolation, but I don't think this was a result decider in one sense, because Arsenal were already winning. I mean, if this had been the goal to win the game, I would be absolutely cheesed off. It more killed the game rather than won it. I mean, do you honestly think if it had been 2-1 and it had gone 2-1 deep in the time, do you honestly think Villa could have actually got a point? I got a 2-2 at the end. or do you? Yeah, that's right. Was that goal that decisive in the end?
I think with the pressure that you were putting on, I don't think we would have got it out of our half.
No.
And so I don't think it was like deciding of the game in that sense. But I do also think that it meant heads dropped and maybe attitudes changed, and it was sort of like, okay, damage limitation, and we'll park the bus rather than we're still in it. Let's try and fight and get another goal, because potentially if you're all in our half and we get Rachel Daly, Adriana Leon, when she was on, Salmon going for a run, then potentially we could have changed it, like when Georgia Mullet came on and she was nearly one-on-one with Sinsberger.
Yes,
with
there was a late
defender.
run. I think it was just after the second goal, and I was like, "Oh, hello, this could be a bit scary."
Yeah.
And I think Leah just got back, but I was like, "Well, I'm looking at the big screen. I'm thinking, don't do this to me, Arsenal. Don't do this to me now, please."
But there was still that opportunity, wasn't there? And I think it would have given us more hope, and I think we would have gone home as fans happier with a 2-1 defeat, thinking the girls have gone out there, they've played their hearts out. There's been some dodgy substitutions that we don't really agree with, a bit bizarre, but they've gone, they played their heart out, and yes, they deserve more in the sense that they've got nothing to show for their hard work, but Arsenal were the better team on the night and did run out winners. But the third goal, just the way that it was handled by the officiating, made it a real bitter pill to swallow. But even the Arsenal fans were all saying that's not a goal, so that made it a bit easier. But I think it's just the professionalism and the lack of standardisation across the board with cards and refereeing that's the big issue.
I mean, I was waiting for the whistle to blow to say goal disallowed.
Yeah.
This is why you should always do play to whistle, just get the ball in the net and then let the referees take care of the rest. And that's, of course, Van Persie playing away at Barcelona. But I was waiting, okay, the whistle's going to blow and it's going to be loud. I was like, they've given it? Like, even I can see the handball. I'm thinking, they're saying ball to hand. No, that's not, that's the matter. If everybody in the stadium and every player can see it's wrong, but the two people that matter can't, that's the worry. And unfortunately, as Matt mentioned, it's not the only mistake we've had. With the Manchester derby and again in the Chelsea game, but I wouldn't say the ref was biased anyway, because I think she gave some really bad decisions the other way as well. I think there was a penalty shout, I remember, in the game. I think Mead called down the box, something or Russo had, and then the foul was given the other way. There were some really strange calls throughout the entire game, and I think this one just capped the lot. But I would say it was a really good game of football. I thought Villa gave, especially in the first half, gave a really good account of themselves defensively. Obviously, no sort of numbers, and I think Arsenal definitely turned up in the second half, and I think your legs just went. I think the legs just went, and you couldn't run it.
And Arsenal picked you off. But yeah, that's a good game at a good stadium, and I had a very fun but late drive home, thanks to our wonderful M1 traffic and the delayed 45 minutes late to kick off. But yeah, very much enjoyed my trip to Birmingham and can't wait for the next one.
Definitely. Right, I'm going to say a massive thanks to Freya and Lyndsey for joining us tonight. Honestly, thank you. We've loved having you on. We actually have run over longer than we normally do, so I do apologise for keeping you. Where can everyone find you on social media?
Yeah, so thank you very much for having us. Absolutely loved it. Really, really good discussion. You can find us both at the Hull 115 Yards. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you get your social media, and then we've got our individual handles as well if you want to follow us. So I'm at T Rights, again across all socials, for more football chat.
Lyndsey?
I was just going to echo what Freya said, and my individual handle is Lyndsey's Endo Battle, and that's on Twitter. And I don't really say that much because Freya tells me off, so it's best that I don't.
No, let's take that back. Right. No, some things don't come across well. That's fine. So I like to double check, and I like to be in charge. So most things you will see is me. That's fine.
We have a similar policy here, which is I don't get to touch the official pod channel. That's handled by Matt and Lottie.
Me and Matt have the main channel page. We won't let Adam touch it. You'll find that Adam likes to troll for Man United fans.
Yeah.
and he's always on the wind up.
Not
So
just Man
It
United
is
fans.
quite fun though.
I
agree.
treat all fan bases equally awfully. So it's
actually,
if it's
that's true.
It's Chelsea
true.
fans, Man United fans.
It's just Man United and Chelsea like to bite. Anyway, you can find the podcast at VAW Pod, where me and Matt run the page, or you can find me at Lottie_AWFC. Adam, where can everybody find you trawling?
I don't just troll. I also do a bit of football writing on the side, but I do write some nonsense as well. So you can find me at Adam Salter4, where I put my nonsense up, and I also do work for Sporting Her. So you might see some written articles at some point.
Last but not least, Matt, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at MattLR28.
And thank you for everyone joining us again tonight, wherever you are in the world. We will catch up with you soon.